Well, hello everybody. David McGuffin here. Travel Talk Tuesday on March the 30th. Hey, I'll start over again because I think I might have been muted. David McGuffin here. Travel Talk Tuesday on March the 30th, 2021. My gosh, 3 months into this brand new year. We began this venture of Travel Talk Tuesday the first week of December. So I guess that means we're going on 4 months here. So it's a fantastic event. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. And we've got a full program packed out tonight because we're dealing with some of the off the beaten path locations in Italy. When I started compiling this a couple of days ago, I just realized I had way too much content and way too much video to even take care of just a short amount of time, this hour that we spend together. So I've condensed it a little bit, and I've come up with about 26 or 8 minutes worth of video and whatnot, and some information along the way. But without further ado, I'm going to show you a map, give you a little explanation of where we are, and then play a little video clip of some of my experiences throughout the years. So everybody's good to go, especially on Zoom. You guys can hear me. We're all okay on that. And I think we're going on Facebook Live as well. So let me start this share again. So I've got a map of the central part of Italy, but we're going to deal with some places above that too, you'll see. But I have Rome right here in the heart of the country. We'd say halfway up the boot. And my first place I want to take you off the beaten path is actually in the city of Rome. And it's a region across the Tiber River, on the same side of the river that the Vatican is on. And it's actually just south of the Vatican, a little neighborhood, Roman neighborhood called Trastevere, which in Italian means across the Tiber River. And it's a place that Charlotte and I discovered, gosh, years ago. But when we're there and without tour groups and we want to get away and vacation for a day or two in Rome, we just try to rent a little apartment or something there in village Trastevere, and it's a great place. And a couple of years back, I was there and experienced a religious celebration, processional going on. So here is some information about, and my video about Trastevere across the Tiber River in Rome. I think a map's going to come up that's going to say the name of the town, Trastevere, the name of the village, but it's part of the metropolitan city of Rome. Hey, David McGuffin here with a Saturday night traipse through the streets of Trastevere in the Rome. Well, you know, St. Francis is the person we know as St. Francis of Assisi. And you can see that the band caught my ear. They're not in step very well. So there's a church in the neighborhood dedicated to San Francesco, St. Francis. And this is on his feast day. This is interesting. You can see the crucifix of Christ, and I don't think St. Francis was there, but St. Francis did receive the stigmata of Christ as one of his miracles. At night,
Trastevere comes alive. You'll find restaurants, cafes, and wine bars spilling out onto the streets. If you're looking for a good meal, you're bound to find a place here in Trastevere. Closer to the Piazza Santa Maria in Trastevere, you'll encounter street musicians and artsy vendors selling their wares. And all around, the streets are filled with people out enjoying the local ambiance. Wow, this place is alive with action. Definitely a place you should visit, Trastevere, just across the Tiber River from the historic center of Rome. Your adventure starts right here with David McGuffin's Exploring Europe.
So the next locale is way down south, and I actually touched upon it last week when we were talking about my Best of Southern Italy tour, but it's the island off of Naples, the Bay of Naples, called Capri. And looking through my archives, I found a video that I compiled when Charlotte and I were there on a little getaway in 2008. I apologize for the quality of the video. Although it was shot on an iPhone at the time, I'm just surprised at how much different it looks and the quality of video just, 12 years ago. But here's a little information about Capri, or Capri, as we call it. They're not pants you wear, but it's an island, Capri. This is a hydrofoil boat from the mainland near Naples, straight across to Capri, about 40 minutes.
Let's see where it's going.
Big fast boat. If you can barely see Mount Vesuvius in the background.
Today we're on the island of Capri. It's in southern Italy, south of Naples, and we've taken a ferry over here yesterday and staying 6 or 7 nights here in Capri. What we ended up doing was from the town of Capri, we took a little city bus, an orange city bus. It was €1.60 to ride up to the village up on the hill called Ana Capri, and then from there we took a chairlift, a one-person chairlift up the mountain to Mount Solano, and that's where we're standing today. The rocks down there are called Fara Leoni, and it's supposed to be a big feat to pass through the rock on the left and the 2 rocks on the right. There's a channel that goes through there, so some of the small boats can jockey for position and come through there. You can also see that it's a very popular place with yachts. There's some huge ones down there. The largest one here being on the right down there. That's just amazing. Who knows who owns that thing. But then again, if you look further on over to the left, there's some very large ones also. But from this vantage point, they don't look so large. But it's just an amazing place. And then out further to the left, along the peninsula, you can see the town down here beyond the tree. You can see the town of Capri. And beyond that, you can see the mainland of Italy, the beginning of the Amalfi Coast to the right of the peninsula. And to the left, on around to the left, is the town of Sorrento. It's beautiful here. You need to come try it someday. Capri.
I shared with you last week that is where the Blue Grotto is as well, where you can, we swam in, Charlotte and I, but you take a tour boat to get in usually.
Hey, today we've rented a boat and we're traveling around the island of Capri, just off the coast of Italy. And so we're at one of the few stops, and we hope to spend maybe 3 or 4 or 5 hours out here doing this and swimming and enjoying ourselves.
Hey, we ought to take a picture of that.
Well, you can see all the people
we
around
made it
that blue
halfway around the
grotto.
island here, and I think we're at an area in a little cove where the Grotto Verde, the green grotto is, I think, over here where these little caves are. And you can see this is a nice little cove. Quite a few boats here, but the water is so refreshing. The bottom is pure blue with the sand, the sun on it and everything. A few rocks down below. I'd say it's a pretty good way to spend an afternoon.
I'm not a sailor, but I think I did pretty good.
Here, get.
Let me come back full screen here for just a moment and give you a little idea. We're having, since we're still in Italy, we're having typical Italian appetizers. One that you've not seen before that I prepared is called a caprese, insalata caprese. And basically it is some pretty poor tomatoes, but you know, you can take what you can get here in Middleburg. And we have mozzarella cheese, and this is fresh basil out of my garden, by the way, and a little olive oil on here. And so that's insalata caprese. And caprese has the origins of Capri or Capri. And you can also see that it has the same colors of the pizza I fixed last week, pizza margherita, which is the Italian flag colors. So red, white, and green. In addition to that, I've got a little bit of it left, but we have a cheese and olive and bread platter here, and we're going to be talking about Parmigiano in a few minutes in the region of Parma about this kind of cheese. So I'll dwell on that in a bit. And then our main course tonight is the closest thing I could find to a Tuscan favorite steak called bistecca alla Fiorentina, which is a Chianina beef, a white cow beef from the region of Tuscany near Florence, Fiorentina. This is actually a Delmonico steak from Fresh Market, but it looks pretty good. So we're going to be grilling that up 5 to 7 minutes per side after we finish up tonight. I got a cast iron skillet on the grill out back, and we're going to be doing that along with fagioli. Fagioli is the Italian word for beans. And when you think of beans in Italy, in Tuscany especially, it's Tuscan, and we call it cannellini beans. So that's what it is. Okay, so that's our menu, kind of what we're snacking on tonight. Let me move on. Anybody's mouth watering? Oh, well, let me talk about the wine. I got a little bottle of, it's called Vino Nobile de Montepulciano, and it's the noble wine from the region of Montepulciano. If you go to my website, you can read a whole lot about Tuscan wines. This one's from the village of Montepulciano. It's 100% Sangiovese, and it's a rich, noble wine there. Very nice, pretty inexpensive. Not as much as Brunello, which we've had in another episode, but that's what we're kind of sipping on a little bit tonight. Without further ado, let me go on to the next video here, which is the region of Pisa. I've been to Pisa quite a few times. As a matter of fact, 2 of my tours go through Pisa, and you can't go there without seeing the Leaning Tower. But there's been a few times that I've been able to go there and stay overnight. And so here are 2 videos about Pisa.
So for decades, I've been visiting this Field of Miracles, where the cathedral, the Leaning Tower, and the baptistry all sit. I usually enter from the other side, from the bus parking, typically in the morning or midday, and it's loaded with tourists. Here I'm coming in from the back side. It's 8:30 on a June afternoon, and it's pretty quiet. Almost sunset. Let me do a 180 right here. See if I can catch a glimpse of that tower. See if you can kind of see it. You can actually see how much it's leaning. This baptistry is just massive. I've had an opportunity to go inside way back in the 1970s when I traveled here with my friends with the Don Thompson Chorale, and we sang inside there, and the docent inside, the guard inside, demonstrated the ability for the echo to bounce around where you could create a triad, 3 notes occurring at the same time. Just a couple of years ago, I was here with the Niceville High School Choir with Michael Dye, and we went in there, heard that same demonstration. The choir was able to perform here in the baptistry. Fantastic. We went up to the 2nd level, into the balcony, just hearing all those notes reverberating around was heavenly, I can tell you that. This is oh so peaceful. Families walking around, no vendors of worthless crap, no hordes of tourists doing hokey little poses holding up the tower. Wow.
Look at that sunset. The sun glistening on the Duomo's facade.
Walk down and get this quintessential view of the Leaning Tower. You can see it coming into view now. Everyone shoots this thing from this direction. The best grass in all of Pisa, right here, because the guards keep people off of it. There we go. Hey, David McGuffin here from Pisa. I've just counted it up. 42 years I've been coming to this town. This is the first time I've climbed the Leaning Tower, and it's pretty amazing view. You see the Duomo and the baptistry in the background. Laura and Byron, my friends back here, taking photos. We're kind of standing with our sea legs because it's all askew, but what a great experience here. Let me show you around a little bit. This is looking toward the baptistry here and the cathedral. So the cathedral is oriented to the west, where the baptistry is, right back through here to the east. So you can see how this kind of lines up with the countryside. And in this direction is the Pisa town. And then there's all the people down there. You know the old saying, I didn't record coming up because of all the huffing and puffing, but here's a little bit of going down. starts here inside the Leaning Tower. David, we got it.
So Rome is in this area down here. And now we're going way up to the northern part of Tuscany to a region called Parma. And it's a Parmigiano Reggiano. So those are two towns, Parma and Reggiano. And this is where that famous cheese that we get originates. And some years ago, I was getting off the beaten path when got up real early in the morning. I mean, real early, like 5 in the morning. And we went out and caught the farmer just bringing in the milk in the jugs in the huge, I don't know, 20-gallon tin containers of milk from the cows that were just milked and bringing it into this cheesemonger to this farmer who was making the Parmigiano Reggiano cheese. There's a narration here, but it's pretty silent because it's pretty quiet because there's a lot of machinery running, so I'll talk over it just a bit.
Hey, David McGuffin here from our Parmigiano Reggiano cheese factory just outside of the town of Parma. We're going to see.
So the milk is brought in and put in these big copper vats. And this machine, there's 3 of them going. This machine stirs it up and curds form. And then the workers take the cheesecloth nets and capture the curds eventually after, gosh, probably 30 or 40 minutes of working.
This process, where it's breaking up the whey.
You've heard of Little Miss Muffet and, you know, the curds and whey. So the wheys and curds are separated. The curds are put in this burlap cheesecloth type sack.
Each one now weighs. So in this process, they are removing.
So that what they're removing is the excess liquid milk called the whey. It actually just goes back and they pump it back into the fields where the grass is, where the cows eat. And it's just organic fertilizer. There's 2 curds, 2 wheels of Parmigiano per vat. They take it over, put it in these forms, which used to be wooden, but now they're plastic.
So on day 2, the cheese is moving. So the cheese sits in these.
So it sits there for 24 hours. The second day, they put it in this vat of salt water, and they let it age. Then they put it on their shelves and let it age for 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 years.
This short look around the Parmigiano Reggiano cheesemaking factory. The family is Casaro. Here, just outside of Parma. Your adventure starts right here with David McGuffin's Exploring Europe.
So the Parmesan cheese, we can get it everywhere. It's very expensive here, you know, and it comes in huge wheels that probably weigh about 30 pounds or so each. I've got a bite here. You can get it very affordable at Costco. So, but if you go to your local grocery store, it's about half again as much. So Parmigiano cheese. And I also want to tell you that the rind on the outside that you'll always have on a wedge of cheese, if you save that, you can put it in your tomato sauce. And it really adds a lot of extra flavor to it. I learned that from Giada De Laurentiis on one of her videos, but it definitely works. Next region is just south of Florence. There is a World War II American cemetery here.
This is the Florence American Cemetery and Memorial in Tuscany. This cemetery holds the remains of just about 4,400 young men who gave the ultimate sacrifice, that of their lives to their country. They fell in battle here in Italy in June of 1944.
There's 3 women there as well. I didn't count them back in the day. But you can see the crosses represent all of the fallen. And there are, you may come across some stars of David for the Jewish members of the service who also lost their life liberating the peninsula of Italy. It all began in June of 43, a year ahead of this time in Sicily, and they came over, the Allied troops came over from North Africa. This is United States property. The next place is just to the east of Florence in Tuscany. There's a town called Montecatini, and it's a spa town, so Montecatini Terme, meaning spa in Italian. If you go up into the hills above that, there's another town called Montecatini Alto, which means high, alto in Italian. So another off the beaten path location that not many people get to.
Hi, David McGuffin here from Montecatini Terme. The thermal spa is just outside of Florence. Today I'm going to go up into the mountainside on this little funicular to Montecatini Alto. Hope you enjoy this adventure. Spa. I had lunch here just a few moments ago of some fantastic caprese salad, which was mozzarella cheese and fresh tomatoes and basil and whatnot. Perfect. And then just some spaghetti with you know, some oil and pepper on it. It was fantastic. Great place to visit up here. But it's got great vistas all the way around, 360-degree views of the hillsides in Tuscany. This is fantastic. It's great. This is David McGuffin saying your adventure starts right here with David McGuffin's Exploring Europe. Ciao.
The next region is almost to the Austrian border. You can see way up there at the top right-hand corner of Italy is a region, a mountain area called the Dolomiti. And those are big mountains that are made out of basically what we call limestone that rise up to 6,500 to 7,000 feet. And it's just a beautiful region, and it's got a lot of German or Austria flair as well. Although this video that you're going to watch, I have a lot of comments on YouTube of various people. Some say that the region belongs to Germany or Austria, and some say that it is because it's Sud, not Germany. Sorry, Austrians would kill me. It belongs to Austria, the South Tyrol region of Austria, and then some people say that it belongs to Italy. Regardless, if you go up there, both languages are spoken, and just across the border is a region in Austria known as Innsbruck. But here's two videos of Bilanzo and an alpine meadow. It's just totally different than anything that we've looked at anywhere else.
Hi, David McGuffin here. I'm in Bolzano, Italy. It's in the region of the Dolomites, the mountain range here, almost to the border with Austria. In fact, this town, although it's Italian, has much more of a German or Austrian feel. I hope you enjoy this look around Bolzano, Italy.
You can even see the signs are in both languages, German and Italian. This is
from Bolzano, Italy. Your adventure starts right here with David McGuffin's Exploring Europe.
real quick, in that region nearby has been discovered in a glacier the world's oldest discovered human is the name Otzi. And there's a museum dedicated to him, and it actually has and that was a depiction, that bearded man was a depiction of that fellow. And then in the museum, there actually is the remains still encased in ice of that guy who died in probably an armed conflict with a spear and an axe with another guy that came across him in the middle of the mountains in the Tyrol region. Pretty cool.
Hi, David McGuffin here, high in the Dolomite Mountains. I'm in a big alpine meadow known as the Alpi dei Suissi, and I hope you enjoyed this look around this beautiful countryside. Here's a 360 video spin from 7,037 feet.
7,037 feet. It's a totally different look than Switzerland, but you have the same altitude as most of the villages that we visit in Switzerland.
Wow, this looks pretty good. What an environment. Hot dogs and french fries and a salad. However, you can bet I won't be having any of that ketchup with my meal.
Hey, did you catch that? However, you can bet I won't be having any of that ketchup with my meal because I despise ketchup. But everything else is wonderful.
Your adventure starts here at David McGuffin's Exploring Europe.
You can see there are a lot more dots than I am getting to because Siena is the last destination I'm going to talk about. But I'm running out of time and everything else, and I got plenty of video content. So I'll maybe hit a couple places next week along with Sicily on this. But these are two videos that we've shot in Siena that are just fantastic. Siena's in Tuscany, south of Florence, about 1 hour.
Now you can see most of the sites from right here. First of all, this big brick church is one of the oldest ones here, and it's a church called San Domenico. And inside San Domenico are a couple of remains from St. Catherine. There is one of her fingers, and there's her head. So she's a very important saint here. So that's the first church, San Domenico. The second church you see here is the Cathedral of Siena. It's huge, it dominates the entire skyline. It's beautifully decorated. Siena had this, which is massive, but they wanted to make it even larger. And they were going to make this the massive nave, like we're standing in right now. Here you have the walls that they began to build. See the windows? The only problem was the Black Plague hit and wiped out almost 2/3 of the population of Siena. And so the construction on this just halted and has never been completed again. Your adventure starts right here with David McGuffin's Exploring Europe.
So in normal years, a very famous celebration and a horse race occurs in Siena called the Palio. It happens in July and August of every year. And each neighborhood called Contrata in Siena enters a competition. And of those 17 Contrata, 11 of them get to race in the Palio around the main square of Siena called Il Campo, or the field, basically. And so I happened to fall into Siena 2 days before one of those races. And this is a big pre-celebration before that. I've never been fortunate enough to be there for the Palio because I hear it's like being in Times Square in New York on New Year's Eve. And but I can imagine with only Italians there, it is much more intense. So this is 2 days before the Palio.
Hey, David McGuffin here from Siena. Wow, it's Palio weekend. On Monday, it's Friday right now, but on Monday, the the Palio is happening, but this is a gear up to the celebration. A whole weekend event leading up to the real race right here in El Campo on Monday. Tonight and Saturday night, there are preliminary competitions where they determine who the 10 riders and horses will be from each of the neighborhoods, the Contrada here. You can see what a great celebration people are having. I'm sure it's a holiday here in Siena and nobody's working. Everybody has their Contrada flag out around their shoulders and everything, having a great time. Hey, I hope you enjoy this look around Siena at the Palio time here in July. Your adventure starts here with David McGuffin's Exploring Europe.
That song is a neighborhood song. It's amazing. Watch the whole group parade, the whole neighborhood parade behind the horses, behind each horse of the Contrada, the jockey. But I think the women are most intense. Watch them come by with their hands raised in the air. You notice the scarves. Each Contrada neighborhood has a particular scarf. There's the eagle and the caterpillar.
So each
the
neighborhood has the same melody, but different voice or different words to their Contrada song. You saw they were parading the horse and also the jockey around. Each Contrada coming up here. Fantastic. Wow, what an amazing experience to be right here on El Campo with all this celebration. You know, maybe one day I should have a David McGuffin Exploring Europe trip to Siena for actually one of the official palios. I think it's like being in Times Square in New York City on New Year's Eve, packed out all over the place here. You can see the bell tower here, Torre de Mangia, loaded with people. The big event has just ended and all the neighborhoods are leaving. I think they're going to have a feast tonight and then a prelim race. Hey, listen, thanks for looking in here, and your adventure starts right here with David McGuffin's Exploring Europe.
So I hope that gives you a little bit of insight on some of the off the beaten path destinations that I love to go to in Italy. You know, there's nothing like being in Rome and Florence and in Venice, Milan, but gosh, each little region, there are 20 different little regions, states, have their own character and culture and ambiance. A few weeks ago, Charlotte and I began watching the CNN series called Stanley Tucci in Search of Italy. I think it's available on Hulu as well. But it's interesting because he's an actor that I didn't really know until I started researching him. But his family, his parents are both Italian. He went with his father, who was a high school art teacher, and his mother to live in Florence for a year sabbatical when he was, I think it was 8 years old or so. And so he gained not only his authentic Italian heritage from his parents, but also from his time as a young child living there, and has embraced that. And so if you get a chance, watch that series. It begins in in Naples and the Amalfi Coast, and covers a lot of the things that I've already talked about down there, about the tomatoes that are grown down there and everything else. And I believe it ends in Sicily, and which is what we're going to end with as far as Italy next week, is my experience on the island of Sicily at the foot of the boot. Basically, it's the football, the boot's kicking. And so we're going to deal with that next week. And, between then and now, we know that Easter's coming up, Good Friday, the day of Christ's death, and then his resurrection on Easter Sunday coming up this weekend. So I want to wish everyone a happy Easter and look forward to seeing you next week on Travel Talk Tuesday, talking about Sicily. Thank you so much. Buona serata. Buona giornata.